She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Other men want me, Marcus. Remember that." So I did something that shocked everyone, including myself. I walked away. And what happened next? Well, let's just say karma has a twisted sense of humor. This is a story of how one sentence changed 2 lives forever, how walking away became the greatest power move I never planned, and how the woman who thought she had all the options ended up with none. Now, I'm not here to bash anyone or play victim. This is about something deeper, about knowing your worth when someone tries to make you forget it, about the moment when you realize that sometimes the best response to a threat is silence. You see, most guys would have fought for her, begged, pleaded, made promises. But I did the one thing she never expected. I respected her choice before she even made it. And that decision, it didn't just change my life. It revealed the truth about hers. By the end of this story, you'll understand why walking away isn't giving up. It's giving someone exactly what they asked for. And why the best revenge isn't plotting or scheming. It's becoming someone they can see but never touch again. But before we dive in, I need to know something. Do you believe in fairness? In people getting exactly what they deserve? Because if you do, hit that subscribe button right now. Only those who don't believe in justice will scroll away without subscribing. The rest of us, we stick around to see how this story ends. So, let me take you back to where it all began. My name is Marcus, I'm 28, and at the time this story takes place, I was living in Chicago, working as a marketing coordinator for a tech startup. Nothing fancy, but I was doing well for myself, had my own apartment in a decent neighborhood, drove a reliable car, and was building something meaningful with my career. I wasn't the type of guy who jumped from relationship to relationship. When I commit fully. I believe in loyalty, in being present, in making the person you would feel like they're the only one who matters. Maybe that was my first mistake, or maybe it was my greatest strength. You'll have to decide. Enter Sarah. Sarah Chun, 25, a marketing assistant at a competing firm. We met at a networking event downtown, one of those awkward professional mixers where everyone's pretending their small talk is life-changing. But when I saw her across the room, everything else faded into background noise. She had this energy about her. Confident but not arrogant, beautiful but not obsessed with it, ambitious but not ruthless. She was wearing this deep blue dress that matched her eyes, and when she laughed at something her colleague said, I knew I had to meet her. Our first conversation lasted 3 hours. We talked about everything, career goals, favorite movies, childhood dreams, that weird phase everyone goes through in college. She was smart, funny, and had this way of making me feel like I was the most interesting person in the room. We exchanged numbers at night, and by the time I got home, she'd already texted me. Thanks for saving me from the most boring networking event in Chicago history. I knew right then that this woman was special. Our first date was supposed to be coffee. It turned into dinner. Dinner turned into a walk along the lakefront. The walk turned into sitting on a bench until 2 a.m., talking about our dreams and fears like we'd known each other for years. The next 6 months felt like a movie montage. Weekend trips to Michigan. Cooking disasters in my kitchen that somehow tasted perfect because we made them together. Late-night conversations that stretched until sunrise. She'd steal my hoodies and look better in them than I ever did. I introduced her to my family during Thanksgiving. She fit right in, helped my mom in the kitchen, debated football with my dad, played video games with my little brother. Watching her laugh at my family's terrible jokes, I started thinking about forever. Sarah seemed to understand me in ways no one else ever had. She'd bring me coffee when I had early meetings, surprised me with tickets to concerts, and had this incredible ability to know exactly what I needed without me saying a word. She made me want to be better, not because she demanded it, but because she inspired it. Our friend groups merged seamlessly. Game nights, double dates, weekend barbecues. We became that couple everyone else looked up to. Goals, they'd say. When are you two getting married? They'd ask. The questions didn't scare me. If anything, they excited me. What I loved most about Sarah was how secure our relationship felt. No games, no drama, no checking each other's phones or wondering where the other person was. We had that rare thing. Complete trust. She'd go out with her girlfriends. I'd hang with my boys, and we'd always come home to each other. By month 8, we were talking about moving in together, looking at apartments, discussing whose furniture we'd keep, joking about whose turret would be to take out the trash. Everything felt natural, easy, right? If someone had told me then that in 3 months, everything would fall apart with a single sentence, I would have laughed. Sarah and I were solid. We were the couple that made it. We were going to be the exception to every statistic about modern dating. But here's what I've learned about relationships. Sometimes the strongest-looking foundations are built on the most fragile ground. And sometimes the person you trust most is the one who surprises you the most. Because what I didn't know was that while I was planning our future together, Sarah was starting to question if she wanted to be in it at all. Would you have seen the early red flags, or would you have trusted Sarah like Marcus did? Drop your thoughts below, and be honest, because what's coming next will test everything you think you know about reading people. The changes started small. So small that I convinced myself I was imagining them. You know how it is. When you love someone, you make excuses for behaviors that would be red flags with anyone else. It began with her phone. Sarah used to leave it lying around everywhere. On the counter while she cooked, on the couch during movies, on my nightstand when she stayed over. But suddenly it was always face down, always in her hand, always requiring her immediate attention. Sorry, just work stuff, she'd say, typing furiously during dinner. My boss is crazy demanding lately, but I catch glimpses of the screen, Instagram DMs, not work emails. When I joke about it, she'd quickly close the app and give me that smile that used to melt me but now felt rehearsed. Then came the Instagram transformation. Sarah had always been confident, but her posts became different, more provocative. Pictures I'd never seen her take, mirror selfies in lingerie, gym photos from angles that emphasized, well, everything, captions that made me do double takes. Feeling myself tonight, under a photo I definitely didn't take. Life's too short to play it safe, with a picture of her in a dress I'd never seen. Know your worth. Ladies followed by a string of fire emojis. Each post got hundreds of likes, dozens of comments from guys whose names I didn't recognize. I started paying attention to who was interacting with her content. Jake from her old job. Gorgeous as always fire emoji Alex, some guy from her gym. Lucky whoever gets to see this in person. Random dudes sliding into her comments like I didn't exist. When I brought it up, she laughed it off. Marcus, you're being paranoid. It's just social media. Everyone posts stuff like this. But when I suggested she might want to tone it down out of respect for our relationship, her laugh turned cold. Excuse me, she said, crossing her arms. Are you trying to control what I post now? I'm not your property, Marcus. I can share whatever I want. The way she said property stung, like I was some possessive creep, instead of her boyfriend of nearly a year. The warmth started draining from our interactions. Good morning texts became sporadic. Our deep conversations turned into surface-level small talk. She'd check her phone mid-conversation, mid-kiss, mid-everything. Even our friends started noticing. During a group dinner, Sarah spent more time taking photos of her food than eating it, more time posing for selfies and engaging in conversation. When someone made a joke about couples being attached at the hip, she rolled her eyes and said, "Not all of us need constant validation." She started dressing differently when we went out. Outfits that left nothing to the imagination. Heels that made walking painful. Makeup that took hours to perfect. When I complimented her, she'd barely acknowledge it. But when strangers looked, her whole demeanor changed. Our weekly date nights turned into group activities where Sarah seemed more interested in impressing everyone else than spending time with me. She'd flirt openly with bartenders, laugh too hard at other guys' jokes, and position herself in ways that drew attention. When I tried to address it, she made me feel crazy. You're being insecure, Marcus. I'm just being friendly. I can't help it if people find me attractive. She'd flip every concern into a character flaw on my part. My insecurity, my jealousy, my inability to trust. Suddenly, everything was about work. Late meetings that ran until midnight. Weekend conferences that didn't exist. Team building events that required revealing outfits and no plus ones. You wouldn't understand, Marcus. Your job does require the same level of networking. I found myself walking on eggshells, afraid to voice concerns because every conversation ended with me apologizing for things I hadn't done wrong. She'd weaponized my love for her against me. If you really trusted me, you wouldn't question this. If you really loved me, you'd support my independence. My buddy Jake pulled me aside one night. Dude, what's going on with Sarah? She seems different. My sister texted me after seeing her Instagram. Is everything okay? These posts seem like she's single. But I defended her every time, making excuses I didn't even believe. Physical intimacy became rare and felt obligatory when it happened. She'd look at her phone during movies, scroll through Instagram while I talked about my day, and treat our conversations like interruptions to whatever was happening on her screen. The most telling change was how she talked about options, subtle comments about staying young, about not settling, about how many women her age were trapped in boring relationships. Some people are scared to explore what else is out there, she'd say, never looking directly at me. By month 11, I was dating a stranger who looked like my girlfriend. She'd become someone who craved external validation more than genuine connection, who saw our relationship as something holding her back rather than lifting her up. I should have known what was coming. All the signs were there, flashing like neon warnings in the dark. But love makes you blind to red flags, and hope makes you explain away the unexplainable. The night before everything fell apart, Sarah was unusually affectionate, kissing me goodbye like she meant it, telling me she loved me with eyes that almost looked sincere. I thought maybe we were finding our way back to each other. I had no idea I was being kissed goodbye forever. Be honest, how many of these red flags would you have ignored for someone you loved? And at what point would you have walked away? Comment below, because what Marcus discovers next will test every boundary you think you have. Friday night, March 15th. A date that's burned into my memory forever. Sarah had canceled our dinner plans last minute. Emergency work presentation, she said. Rain check, baby. But something in her voice felt off. Too casual. Too rehearsed. I should have just stayed home, watched Netflix, minded my own business. But you know that feeling when your gut is screaming that something's wrong? That's where I was. So I did something I'd never done before. I decided to drive by her apartment. Her car wasn't there. The apartment was dark. But here's the thing. I wasn't checking up on her to catch her in a lie. I was genuinely worried something had happened. Maybe she was sick. Maybe she needed help. Love makes you do stupid things in the name of caring. I called. Straight to voicemail. Texted. No response. That's when I remember her best friend Emma mentioning something about a new rooftop bar downtown. Sarah's been dying to check it out, she'd said. Maybe she'd gone there to blow off steam after her work crisis. Skyline rooftop, 23rd floor. The kind of place Sarah would post about for the gram. I took the elevator up, telling myself I was just being a caring boyfriend, that I'd surprise her, maybe salvage our date night. The elevator doors opened, and I stepped into a scene that felt like it was happening to someone else. Soft jazz music, dim lighting, Chicago skyline twinkling in the background. And there, at a corner table with the best view in the house, was Sarah. She wasn't alone. Sitting across from her was a man I'd never seen before, tall, expensive suit, the kind of confident smile that screams, I get whatever I want. His hand was covering hers on the table. Her head was thrown back in laughter at something he'd said. She was wearing the red dress I'd bought her for Valentine's Day, the one she said was too special for regular occasions. Her hair was styled the way she only did for important events. She looked radiant, alive, more beautiful than I'd seen her in months. As I watched, froze in the doorway, he leaned across the table and whispered something in her ear. She giggled, and playfully swatted his chest. It was the same gesture she used to do with me during our honeymoon phase. Then it happened. He stood up, walked around to her side of the table, and kissed her. Not a friendly peck. A real kiss. The kind of kiss you give someone you're falling for. And Sarah? She melted into it, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Time stopped. The jazz music faded. The conversations around me became white noise. I stood there watching the woman I loved, the woman I was planning a future with, being someone else's present. My chest felt tight. Not the dramatic heart attack kind of tight. Just this hollow, empty feeling spreading from my stomach to my throat, like someone had reached inside me and scooped out everything important. But here's what surprised me most. I wasn't angry. I wasn't ready to storm over there and cause a scene. I just felt sad, disappointed, like I'd been reading a beautiful book, only to discover the ending was written in a different language. I watched him for maybe 10 more minutes. The way he ordered wine without asking what she wanted. And she loved it. The way she touched his arm when she laughed. The way she looked at him like he was the most fascinating person she'd ever met. It was everything we used to be, except she was more animated, more flirtatious, more alive than she'd been with me in months. This wasn't a woman cheating out of boredom or revenge. This was a woman who had found something she thought was better. That's when it hit me. I wasn't witnessing Sarah's betrayal. I was witnessing Sarah being herself with someone who made her feel the way I used to, which meant either I had stopped being that person, or she had stopped seeing me as that person. I could have confronted them, could have walked over, introduced myself, made it everyone else's problem. But standing there, watching her be happy with someone else, I realized something profound. You can't fight for someone who's already chosen to leave. So I left, took the elevator down 23 floors in silence, walked to my car, sat in the parking lot for an hour, trying to process what I'd seen. The Chicago skyline looked different somehow, less bright, more honest. The drive home was surreal. Every song on the radio sounded like it was written about my situation. Every red light felt like the universe giving me time to think. Every mile between me and that rooftop felt like distance between me and the life I thought I had. When I got home, everything looked the same but felt different. Her toothbrush by the sink, her books on my nightstand, her favorite coffee in my kitchen, evidence of a relationship that had been ending while I was still trying to save it. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. Sarah, sorry baby, work ran super late. Exhausted. Talk tomorrow? Love you. I stared at that text for 20 minutes. 3 little lies wrapped up in 2 little words that used to mean everything. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment from the past few months. Every red flag I'd ignored. Every excuse I'd accepted. Every time I'd chosen to trust instead of question. When morning came, I realized something that changed everything. Sarah hadn't betrayed me. She had shown me who she really was, and I had chosen not to see it. The betrayal was mine, to myself, for accepting less than I deserved. I had 2 choices. Confront her and fight for a relationship that was already over, or respect what I'd witnessed and let her have what she clearly wanted. One choice led to drama, explanations, and probably more lies. The other led to dignity. As I sat there with my morning coffee, looking at her text from the night before, I knew which choice I was going to make. And it wasn't the one she was expecting. Be honest. Would you have confronted him on the spot or walked away silently like Marcus? And more importantly, do you think he made the right choice leaving without a fight? Drop your thoughts below, because what he does next will either make you respect him more or question everything. Saturday morning. Sarah's "love you" text was still on my screen, and I was about to respond in a way that would surprise everyone, including myself. See, most guys would have chosen drama. Accusations, confrontations, demand for explanations. But I chose something more powerful, clarity. I typed out a single message. I saw you last night at Skyline Rooftop. You looked happy. I hope he makes you as happy as you deserve to be. This is goodbye. Sarah, take care of yourself. My thumb hovered over send for what felt like hours, but was probably 30 seconds. This wasn't just a text. It was the end of a chapter, the closing of a door, the final period on a sentence I never wanted to finish writing. I hit send. No anger. No accusations. No demand for explanations or closure. Just acknowledgement of what I'd seen and respect for her choice. Even if that choice broke my heart. My phone started ringing within minutes. Sarah's name flashing on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. And again. By noon, I had 12 missed calls and a string of texts that went from confused to panicked to angry. Marcus, what are you talking about? Call me back right now. You're being ridiculous. It's not what you think. You owe me a conversation. Each message revealed more about who she really was. Someone who thought she deserved explanations after being caught in lies. That's when I did something I'd never done in any previous relationship. I blocked her, not out of anger or spite, but out of self-respect. I deleted her number, blocked her on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, unfollowed all her friends. Each block was like closing a window to a house I no longer lived in. Every deleted contact was me choosing my peace over panic. Every unfollowed account was me refusing to torture myself with updates from a life I was no longer part of. I packed up everything she left at my place. Clothes, books, that expensive face cream she was always forgetting. I didn't throw anything away or destroy it out of anger. I just put it all in a box, neat and organized, like our relationship deserved to end with the same respect it had begun. I dropped the box off with her building's doorman. No note, no explanation, just her stuff, returned with the same care she'd originally brought it over with. Clean, final, dignified. Word traveled fast. Emma called. Marcus, Sarah's freaking out. She says you won't talk to her. She says it's all a misunderstanding. I listened politely and then said something that surprised even me. Emma, I respect Sarah's right to choose what makes her happy. I just also respect my right to choose what makes me happy. More calls came. Mutual friend tried to mediate, try and get both sides of the story. But I didn't engage. I didn't badmouth Sarah or try to win people to my side. I just quietly stepped back from any social situation where I might encounter her. I went further. I unfollowed anyone who regularly posted about her, muted keywords that might bring up memories, and basically created a Sarah-free digital environment, not out of hatred, but out of self-preservation. The hardest part was professional events where we might cross paths. Chicago's marketing scene is smaller than you'd think, but I handled it the same way. Professional, polite, distant. I didn't avoid events, but I didn't linger in conversations or situations where drama could unfold. What I discovered was that silence is the most powerful response to betrayal. It says, I saw what I saw, I know what I know, and I don't need your version of events to validate my reality. It's the ultimate respect for both her choice and mine. Within a week, something amazing happened. The chaos in my chest quieted. The constant wondering and worrying stopped. I wasn't checking my phone every 5 minutes or analyzing every social media post for hidden meanings. I was just free. I realized that fighting for someone who doesn't want to be fought for isn't love. It's ego. Real love sometimes means letting go. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is give someone the space to be with the person who makes them feel alive. But here's what Sarah didn't expect. She thought I'd fall apart without her. She thought I'd come crawling back, begging for another chance. What she didn't realize was that she just freed me to become someone I'd forgotten I could be. Real talk. Do you think Marcus handled this the right way, or was he too passive? Would you have demanded answers and fought harder? Comment below, because his next move is about to show us all what quiet confidence really looks like. Here's what nobody tells you about rock bottom. It's actually the perfect foundation to build something incredible. The morning after I blocked Sarah everywhere, I woke up with something I hadn't felt in months. Possibility. For the first week, I'll be honest, it sucked. I'd reach for my phone to text her about random things. Then remember, I'd see something funny and instinctively want to share it with her. Old habits die hard when they're wrapped up in love. But then something shifted. Maybe it was day 10, maybe day 12. I stopped missing Sarah and started missing the person I used to be. The guy who had goals beyond making someone else happy. The guy who had dreams that didn't revolve around weekend plans and couples activities. I remembered that before Sarah, I'd been passionate about photography. I had this old Canon sitting in my closet, collecting dust for over a year. So I pulled it out, charged the battery, and took a walk through Chicago. Just me, my camera, and the city I'd forgotten how to see. That first photo session lasted 6 hours. I walked from Lincoln Park to the lakefront, capturing everything: street art, architecture, people living their lives. When I got home and looked at those photos, I saw something I hadn't seen in months. Evidence of my own perspective, my own eye for beauty. The photography reignited something else, my ambition at work. I'd been coasting for months, doing just enough to get by while my emotional energy was tied up in relationship drama. But now, I started volunteering for challenging projects, staying late not because I had to, but because I wanted to. 3 weeks after the breakup, my boss pulled me aside. Marcus, I don't know what's changed, but your work has been exceptional lately. There's a senior marketing position opening up in our New York office. Interested? 6 months ago, I would have immediately thought about how it would affect my relationship. Now, I said yes without hesitation. I joined a gym, not because I was trying to show Sarah what she was missing, but because I needed somewhere to channel all the energy I'd been wasting on anxiety and overthinking. Those endorphins from working out, better than any therapy session. Within 2 months, I was in the best shape of my life. Not just physically, mentally too. There's something about pushing your body to its limits that shows you what else might be possible. Every personal record in the gym felt like proof that I was capable of more than I'd been settling for. I started saying yes to invitations I would have declined before. That networking event I've been avoiding went. That weekend hiking trip my college friends had been planning booked my spot. That cooking class my sister had been begging me to try signed up. Amazing things happen when you're not constantly checking in with someone else before making plans. I met David at the gym, a photographer who freelanced for major brands. Lisa from the cooking class, a marketing director at a Fortune 500 company. People who expanded my world instead of shrinking it. The New York position came with a 40% salary increase and the chance to work on campaigns for clients I'd only dreamed of. More importantly, it came with a corner office view of Manhattan and the kind of creative freedom I've been craving for years. With the new salary, I upgraded everything. Moved from my decent Chicago apartment to a Manhattan loft with floor-to-ceiling windows. Traded my reliable sedan for a BMW that made me smile every time I got behind the wheel. These weren't purchases to impress anyone. They were investments in the life I was building. My weekend photography hobby turned into something more. David connected me with a gallery owner who loved my street photography series, Urban Solitude. 20 photos capturing the beauty of being alone in a crowded city. The exhibition sold out opening night. For the first time in years, I traveled solo. Barcelona for inspiration, Tokyo for the challenge, Iceland because why not? Each trip taught me something about independence, about finding joy in experiences that belonged entirely to me. The most significant change wasn't external, it was internal. I stopped defining myself as half of a couple. I became comfortable with being a complete person on my own. Dinners alone weren't lonely, they were peaceful. Movies alone weren't sad, they were exactly what I wanted to watch. Success breeds confidence, and confidence is magnetic. People at work started coming to me for advice. Friends started asking for my perspective on their careers, their relationships, their goals. I became the person others looked to for wisdom. Women started noticing me differently. The barista at my new coffee shop would smile a little brighter when I walked in. Colleagues would find excuses to stop by my office. I wasn't actively dating. I was too focused on building, but the attention was validating. 6 months post-Sarah, I looked in the mirror and saw a stranger. Not just physically, though the gym had definitely worked. I saw someone who had goals beyond keeping someone else happy. Someone who took risks because he believed in himself, not because he was trying to prove something to someone else. That's when it hit me. Sarah hadn't just done me a favor by choosing someone else. She'd forced me to choose myself. And for the first time in years, I was genuinely excited about the future I was creating. My own Instagram transformed. No more couple photos or posts designed to show how happy I was. Just authentic moments from a life being lived fully. Sunset shots from my new apartment. Photos from gallery openings. Pictures from mountain peaks I'd climbed alone. Everything started connecting. The confidence from work success made me better at photography. The discipline from fitness made me more focused professionally. The independence from solo travel made me more interesting in social situations. Success in one area fed success in others. But here's what I didn't expect. Just as I was hitting my stride, just as I completely let go of the past and embraced my new reality, someone from my old life decided to make an appearance. Do you think leveling up after heartbreak is the best revenge, or should he have given her another chance? And be real. How many of you saw your ex's stories and felt a little satisfaction? Drop your thoughts below, because what happens next will test everything Marcus has built. It was a Tuesday night in October, almost 8 months after I blocked Sarah everywhere. I was in my Manhattan apartment, editing photos from a weekend shoot in the Catskills, when my phone buzzed with a notification that made my blood run cold. Instagram message from Sarah Chan. Somehow, she'd found a way around the blocks. Maybe through a mutual friend's account. Maybe she created a new profile. I never found out how, but there it was, a message in the past, dropping into my carefully constructed present like a stone in still water. Hey Marcus, I know you probably want to hear from me, but I saw your gallery exhibition announcement online. I'm so proud of you. You always were talented. I just don't think I appreciate it enough. Can we talk? There are things I need to say to you. Please. I stared at that message for 20 minutes. 8 months ago, those words would have been everything I wanted to hear. The acknowledgement, the pride, the please at the end. But now, they felt like lines from a script I'd outgrown. I won't lie, I was curious. What could she possibly need to say after all this time? What had happened in her life that made her reach out now, just as mine was hitting new heights? Against my better judgment, I clicked on her profile. The Sarah I saw in those photos was not the radiant woman from the rooftop bar. Her recent posts were sparse, the captions desperate for engagement. Focusing on self-love these days sparkles. Under a clearly filtered selfie. Quality over quantity in friendships with a solo dinner photo that screamed loneliness. I scrolled back through months of posts and saw the story she wasn't telling. The mysterious man from the rooftop appeared in exactly 3 photos over 2 months, then disappeared entirely. Her friend group seemed to have shrunk. The confident, flirty energy that had characterized her posts during our relationship, gone. When I didn't respond to her first message, others followed. I know I messed up. I've been thinking about us a lot lately. I miss what we had. Each message a little more vulnerable, a little more desperate than the last. Emma, Sarah's best friend, called me out of the blue the next week. Marcus, I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but Sarah's been asking about you constantly. She's been having a really hard time since you two ended things. The guy from the bar? He ghosted her after 2 months. Apparently, he was seeing multiple women, and she was just one of many options. She's been single since June and keeps talking about how she made the biggest mistake of her life. She's different now, Marcus. Humbled. She keeps saying you were the only one who really loved her. Emma painted a picture of someone who had learned the hard way that attention and affection aren't the same thing. Sarah had gotten exactly what she thought she wanted. Multiple men pursuing her, only to discover that being wanted and being valued are completely different experiences. She's also been struggling at work, Emma continued. Without you as her emotional support system, she's been making poor decisions. Her boss called her unfocused. She's been putting all her energy into dating apps and social media instead of her career. As Emma described Sarah's downward spiral, I was literally sitting in my corner office, looking out at the Manhattan skyline, fresh from a client meeting that had gone better than I had dreamed. The contrast wasn't lost on me. Sarah's last message came on a Friday night. I know you're probably happy without me, and you should be. You deserve better than how I treated you. But if there's even a small part of you that remembers what we had, could we just talk? Just once? I'll come to New York. I'll go wherever you want. Please, Marcus. I know I don't deserve it, but I'm asking anyway. I sat with that message for 3 days. Part of me, the part that had loved her completely, felt sympathy for her pain. But the bigger part, the part that had grown strong in her absence, recognized something crucial. This wasn't about love. This was about regret. Sarah didn't miss me. She missed the security I'd provided. She didn't want our relationship back. She wanted the safety net she discarded when she thought she had better options. The difference mattered more than I can explain. I crafted one final message. Sarah, I hope you find the happiness you're looking for, but you won't find it in our past. Take care of yourself. And then I blocked her again, this time making sure every possible avenue was closed. Because here's what I'd learned in those 8 months of building a life without her. Some chapters end so you can write better ones. And I was just getting started. Honest question. Was Marcus too harsh? Or did he handle Sarah's return exactly right? Would you have given her a chance to explain? Or was his response perfect? Comment below. Because a final lesson in this story might change how you handle your own relationships forever. 6 months later, I'm sitting in a cafe in Soho, waiting for someone who's about to change my life again. But this time, in all the right ways. Her name is Alexandra. She's a photographer for National Geographic, and in about 10 minutes, she's going to walk through that door and remind me what it feels like to be chosen, not settle for. I met Alex at my gallery opening, the same exhibition Sarah had seen online. Alex wasn't there because she knew me or felt sorry for me or wanted to fix me. She was there because she genuinely loved the art. Our first conversation lasted 4 hours and covered everything from camera techniques to life philosophy. With Sarah, I'd always felt like I was auditioning for the role of boyfriend. With Alex, I felt like the role was written for me. She didn't need me to be perfect. She appreciated me for being authentic. She didn't demand constant attention. She valued the attention I chose to give. 3 months into dating Alex, we were having dinner at this little Italian place in Brooklyn when she said something that floored me. Marcus, I love how secure you are in yourself. It makes me feel safe to be myself too. That's when I realized Sarah's rejection had taught me something invaluable about self-worth. Here's what I learned. When someone tells you other people want me, they're actually telling you that they see relationships as competitions rather than partnerships. They're revealing that they view love as a marketplace where they're shopping for the best deal rather than building something meaningful. Sarah didn't lose me because she found someone better. She lost me because she never understood what she had. She was so focused on her options that she forgot to appreciate her choice. And by the time she realized the difference, I'd become unavailable. This story isn't really about revenge, though I know that's why many of you clicked. It's about something more important. The moment you stop chasing people who don't want to be caught and start becoming someone worth choosing. When Sarah said other men want me, my first instinct was to prove I was better than those other men. But the right response was simpler. Then go be with them. Because anyone who threatens to leave is someone who's already left emotionally. They're just waiting for permission. The most attractive thing about a person isn't their looks, their money, or their status. It's their ability to walk away from situations that don't serve them. Sarah taught me that when someone shows you they don't value what you offer, believe them the first time. Looking back, Sarah's betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because I'm vindictive, but because it forced me to rebuild my life from the ground up. Every success I achieved afterward belonged completely to me. No compromises, no accommodations, no settling. If you're watching this and relating to my story, here's what I want you to understand. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's inability to see it. When people take you for granted, it says nothing about your value and everything about their perspective. The right person won't threaten to leave. They'll be grateful they found you. They won't remind you of your competition. They'll remind you why they chose you. They won't make you feel replaceable. They'll make you feel irreplaceable. Every goal I achieved after Sarah, the promotion, the gallery showing, the new apartment, the better relationship, became possible because I stopped investing energy in someone who saw me as an option. When you free yourself from people who diminish you, you discover capacities you forgot you had. I don't hate Sarah. I actually hope she finds happiness. Genuine happiness with someone who appreciates her for who she is rather than what she offers. Our relationship taught us both valuable lessons. Mine was about self-respect. Hers was probably about the difference between attention and affection. Sarah reached out to me at exactly the wrong time, right when I was becoming the person I was meant to be. If she had contacted me earlier, when I was still broken and searching, I might have taken her back. But by the time she wanted to return, I no longer needed her to feel complete. Here's the truth nobody talks about. The best revenge is making someone regret losing you. It's becoming so genuinely happy that you forget they ever mattered. It's building a life so fulfilling that their absence becomes a blessing rather than a burden. So if you're in a relationship where someone is making you compete for their attention, or if someone recently chose their options over your commitment, remember this. Let them go. Don't fight for someone who doesn't want to be fought for. Don't beg someone to see your worth. Instead, redirect that energy into becoming undeniably valuable. To yourself first, then to someone who has the wisdom to recognize what they have. Success isn't about proving your worth to people who couldn't see it. Success is about building a life so good that their opinion becomes irrelevant. Alex and I got engaged last month, not because we completed each other. We were already complete, but because we chose to build something together that's bigger than what either of us could create alone. She's never made me feel like an option because she knows the difference between having choices and making a choice. When someone threatens to leave, let them. When someone tells you about their options, respect their need to explore them. When someone takes your love for granted, give them the space to realize what they've lost. Because here's what I learned from losing Sarah and finding Alex. The person who's meant for you won't make you question your value. They'll spend their time adding to it. They won't threaten to leave. They'll be too busy planning to stay. The best revenge is success. They can't ignore an access they'll never get back. But even better than revenge, it's building a life so good that you forget you ever needed it. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you of your own worth, hit that like button. Subscribe if you believe in choosing yourself over settling for less. And drop a comment below. Tell me about a time when walking away led to something better. Until next time, remember, know your worth and don't accept anything less. You deserve someone who sees you as their choice, not their option. And sometimes, the person who's meant to love you is waiting on the other side of the person who never could.